What up, guys? Shicey back with another one. You guys gotta watch this. This is all about what's going on right now. Why everybody on both sides of the political aisle, on the political spectrum, are freaking out. This has to do with the Jeffrey Epstein thing. This has to do with Diddy and Jay-Z and what they have going on. This has to do with it all. This has to do with Erica Kirk. This is everything wrapped up into one. Okay, here is the answer to what the fuck is going on in America right now and what's been going on for a long, long time. This is why society, American society, has declined gradually, year after year after year after year. This is this has to do. There's a global. This is not just America. If you look at our allies, you'll see that all of them are being stripped from their democracies, and they are all at different levels of the same shit that we're dealing with. So, I mean, this is a global effort to control the world. Like they're pretty far back on the timeline. So here's my perspective, a little bit of my perspective. I want to add this in here before we get into this. In in the year 1912, the Titanic supposedly hit an iceberg. Now, I want you to understand that that Titanic had like the most important people in America at the time on that ship. Okay, the invites went out to all the most important people in America, the most influential, the most powerful people in the country in 1912 were on that ship. That ship did not hit an iceberg. What happened was the powers that be now, at the time, were fighting for the power. And they wanted to implement a Federal Reserve. Understand? The people on that Titanic fought against them and were pushing that ship back. They did not want a Federal Reserve, okay? Next thing you know, the ship hit the iceberg or blew up. It was sabotaged. And shortly after 1912, America opened up, it implemented a Federal Reserve. And that's when we lost this country, folks.
It just seems you've said it. It's a toxic culture, meaning the whole Israeli project it was founded on a genocide. It was founded on the Nakba. It was founded on stealing land that was given to them by an occupying force, the UK, that didn't have the right to give that land to anybody. Right. And it's what's funny to me is as soon as the UK acknowledged that the Palestinians had a right to that land, they immediately sued the UK for giving that land to Israel, which is awesome. But here's what Candice Owens had to say. And I just want to get your response to it.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
Because the book that we are currently reading is so on time right now. Quite literally, we're completing this book on Friday, Sigmund Freud and the Jewish Mystical Tradition. After having read previously The Assault on Truth, those people were not surprised at all because I took you through it. What Sigmund Freud and his B'nai B'rith Freemason boys actually believe about you, what they believe, how they have accomplished things, this false dialectic, their means to accomplish running Western society, breaking apart Christian empires. Yes, he hated Christians. It's a fact. He wrote about it extensively. He hated God.
I want you to really pay attention because this is exactly what is going on right now.
Catholics. And yes, they perform rituals. That is not an imagination. It's not a conspiracy. The only conspiracy are those that are colluding to hide those facts. And now we can really stick our noses down at them.
Yeah. So I want you to, here, she's going to explain this right now. I want you to understand that this is why you see Ted Cruz back to back to back on X nonstop supporting and defending Israel. And it's not even, so I mean, you know, there's hidden agendas even in that, because he's back to back defending Israel, right? And we want to relate that to AIPAC money. We want to relate that to, you know, some sort of funding somewhere, or campaign funding, or we want to relate that to somehow, you know, it has something to do with the tax money, which it may very well. I know it does. That's where all the tax money went, 20 trillion of the national debt that we can't find. But it's deeper than that. It's not just about tax money. This is how do I explain this? This is a ancient Egyptian cabal, right? That infiltrates countries from the inside, blackmails its leaders in many different ways. Epstein is one of the rings that they ran to blackmail, right? And they also, you know, they gain friendlies as well. And they gain business partners, which you can silence people that way as well. This is why you see Ted Cruz, which is a conservative. You see him defending Israel and fighting for the sake of Israel. What the fuck, Ted? Are you American or are you Israeli? Like, go live in Israel if that's, you know, we see right through it. You're trying to, what they're trying to do is they're trying to draw in and muster up all these fucktards at the bottom of the food chain, which, guys, you know, some of you which I'm friends with, like, don't fall for this bullshit, okay? Do some homework. Look at these Epstein files and understand that I am a diehard conservative, okay? I supported Trump for 10 fucking years. I support him no longer. Okay, this shit is serious. This is no fucking joke. This is no joke. This is our democracy has been hijacked. Okay, it's been hijacked, and literally it's being stripped away from us year after year after year. Can't do this anymore. Can't do this anymore. Can't do that anymore. Can't talk freely about this on the internet. Can't protest Israel. What the fuck? No, 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 no. What's the only country that you cannot protest, gentlemen? Is that Israel? Huh. Is that something like, does that sound like some sort of American first policy or law? Or does that maybe perhaps sound like maybe Israel is running America? Maybe they have taken over both sides of the aisle as far as politics go. Both the Democrats and Republicans have been either blackmailed because they went to these Epstein parties, or possibly maybe even some sort of different rings.
Let me tell you something.
When when I wasn't even thought of, and maybe their daddy did it, and maybe it's being held against them. Boys, we've been compromised. We've been manipulated. We've been brainwashed. We're doing 12 years of schooling for the children. Okay? I'm not going to let anyone know if I have kids or not, but let's just say I know a kid that recently went to school and had something to say about what's happening in the Middle East right now. With, it rhymes with Memestinian, okay? And they were saying, this kid, the teacher said, what can we do to make America better, greater? And he said, well, for one, we can stop supporting Israel. As soon as he said that, his teacher pulled him outside, literally pulled him outside of the class and told him that it was racist to say he didn't want to support Israel. How the fuck does that even make sense? He's not talking about a specific race. He is literally talking about a country. But because he said that he didn't want to support Israel because the Jews were committing the G word, they tried to give him in-school suspension for 2 days. Our country has been infiltrated by Israel. The politicians may or may not want to break off. Some of them may be banking really, really well from this agreement with these people. A lot of them are participating because they're completely in on it. The original American, well, they're not American, but original oligarchs that even Vladimir Putin was talking about. He just recently dropped a message to Americans in the form of a video where he says that we have been ruled over by these weird cult-like people who are like vampires, and they eat babies, and it's hard to even come on here and tell you guys the truth because it sounds so fucking crazy that it's almost like completely unbelievable. I'm glad that there's many, many people who have like opened their eyes and witnessed this themselves, and they're talking about it as well. And it's really hard to explain to somebody that like the entire country has been infiltrated by this cabal cult-like group, right? And they believe they're like mystical or mythical or something, and they're evil fucking people that make sacrifices, and that's why we celebrate Halloween and all of this other pagan bullshit that dates back all the way back to Egypt, right? I was just figuring this out on my own, and then Candice dropped a video. I literally came to the same conclusion hours before she dropped this video. And the first video, I come home and I turn YouTube on. The first video I watch, Candice is on here saying the exact same thing. Like the person I was talking to about this at the store, I took their number down because I was very impressed with like what they were saying, and we agreed on everything, pretty much. And then I get home and I see this video, and it was just fucking mind-blowing. So I knew I had to get on YouTube and bring it to you guys.
From you is actually a direct quotation from Sigmund Freud. Okay. Person that was hailed as a hero. We were in high school and middle school, and he's the father of modern psychology. Yeah, guys, that's kind of the problem. That is kind of the problem, actually. Anyway, to contextualize this, he's writing a letter to his best friend, also the person he was having a gay affair with, who mentored him, Wilhelm Fliess. Now, I should skip to the part and tell you Wilhelm Fliess also molested his own son, Robert Fliess. Robert Fliess spoke about that when he got older. But Sigmund Freud is writing to Wilhelm Fliess after he gets initiated, because they wait until you're 36 to initiate you into the occult mystic Kabbalah. Okay, I'm going to read you what he writes. He's referring to a patient who he previously hadn't understood before his initiation, who came in, and she spoke to him about what she experienced when she was a child. He writes, imagine I obtained a scene, which means a patient was speaking about this, about the circumcision of a girl, the cutting of a piece of her labia, sucking up the blood, following which the child was given a piece of the skin to eat. He then fast forwards and he says, I dream, therefore, of a primeval devil religion whose rites are carried on secretly, and I understand the harsh therapy of the witches' judges. And then he speaks about this. Freud is implying here, by the way, this we are so anti-Semitism proof. This book was written by a guy who was the director of the Freud archives. He read Freud's unpublished works and determined that, yeah, Freud knew that the children were being abused in Vienna, and he created a social science, psychology, to help gaslight those children. This is what you got to be aware of. This is all real. It's not imagined. These are not kooky people on the internet that are telling you this. Quite the opposite. And then this guy, Jason Masson.
Yeah, she's got to keep interrupting and saying that because it sounds very bizarre. And like, really, people don't want to believe the truth because they've been living in the lie so long. It's literally like coming out of the Matrix. I need you people to wake up. You're in the Matrix. Wake the fuck up.
Who writes this book writes that Freud is implying here that the Sabbaths were real events. part of a ritualized religion in which sexual perversions were acted out. So he was aware that this was happening. And in case you are not aware, Sigmund Freud, the background story there is wild, right? He was once an outcast in the very tight-knit, perverted psychology club in Vienna because he told the truth. He went to the morgue. He examined children who had died after they were horrifically murdered and sexually assaulted. And then he also saw patients who were children who were still alive, who were telling him these stories about what they lived through. And he had determined after speaking to these children that they were all telling the truth. And so he gets ostracized from the psychology community. He's like, no, this is actually happening. And it's also incestuous. And they go, get out of here. You can't be with us. You can't publish this paper. Oh no, what would the Goyim think? He actually did publish his findings. And like I said, the pervert turned on him. Then remarkably, at the age of 36, he partakes in a ritual during which he's welcomed into the club, and he changes his mind and he writes to Wilhelm Fliess that he now understands. Okay, so that's what I just read to you. Like he now understands what is happening. And that is why you need to wake up and recognize that this is what is happening in our world. And what he's referring to are ancient pagan festivals and ceremonies.
Like Halloween, for instance, like Halloween. You know, something doesn't feel right. It's off. This is weird. Why are we dressing up in scary, evil costumes? What is this for? Where did it come from? It's a pagan holiday. You know, it's not something that Christians would partake in. And a lot of Christians don't. You know, they don't bring their kids out to go trick-or-treating, you know, because it's not something that we originally believed in. We have been molded and brainwashed into celebrating these pagan holidays because of the occultists that are ruling over us. These oligarchs that come from the UK and all over the world, Israel and etc. You know, the stateless people, etc. You know, and this is not something that you can blame specifically on the Jews. It's not. You know, these people are, the Jews are rebelling against these people as well. These are the Zionists in Israel. You know, a lot of their leaders are Ukrainian. The prime ministers are Ukrainian. They changed their name to make them sound Jewish, but they're Ukrainian because this is not like she just said. They don't have a religion. They will contort. They will join your religion, and then they will chew you up and spit you out. That's what they do. So listen here, because she can phrase it better than me. She's more educated. She's better versed than I, and I just want you guys to just really understand that. I know it sounds like ridiculous, but hear her out.
That center around the Earth's cycles of death and rebirth. And so to make this extra clear to you, we are not in a war between monotheistic faiths. The people that we are fighting are effectively pagan gypsies who have been wearing the cloak of Judaism, I would say, since the fall of the missing Khazarian Empire. The Khazars were a nomadic Turkic tribe who adopted Judaism in the 8th century. Now, Freud, this part is important. We're going to get to what's in Epstein's emails because, man, if I didn't tell you guys the truth, Freud himself was a racist, okay? He was a part, like I said, of the Freemason group in Iberith, which had, if you don't know what an Iberith is, you got to wake up, especially if you're in America, okay? That lodge, it's Jewish supremacists. They had everything to do with the Civil War in America. They excel at creating the false dialectic, the North versus the South, the left versus the right. Ulysses S. Grant notoriously expelled Jews from his military district, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky. You think he was just like what, another white supremacist? Everyone's just a white supremacist. They would have called him a white supremacist, or he was anti-Semitic. Everybody's just anti-Semitic. No, it had everything to do with what they were cooking up at these lodges, Ben Iberith. That then subsequently became the ADL after the ritualistic murder of a Catholic girl named Mary Fagan. There was no hiding that anymore. I don't care if Dennis Prager's going to write another letter and say, that's not true. This case is not real. It's happened so many times during the same dates, the same holiday season, all throughout history, that it is getting ridiculous to not acknowledge that this is true and this is real. And the Epstein files create an opportunity for us to discuss this, to hear the way they speak about us behind closed doors, exactly how Sigmund Freud spoke. It's racist, right? I want to make it clear that this is, for them, a religious philosophy, a racist perspective that we are goyim, meaning cattle, that are meant to be herded and ruled over. I said this at the end of last year. I said this is how I am being treated because I don't listen to them. Hence their psychotic, obsessive, and frankly, their evil manner in which they have confronted me simply trying to move on in my life after realizing I don't want to work for Zionist psychopaths. I just don't want to do that if that's cool.
All right, so I'll stop it there. Now, let me ask. No, Kurt, you followed it. When she said all that stuff, I'm watching it. I'm like, Bo, I don't understand anything she's saying.
I hear that. I kind of do, but at the same time.
About the mystic Jewish and how it gets into all the religions, which is what you've been telling me about these Christian people.
Dialectic.
Yeah. And so the false dialectic of the north, south, left, right, that's
what Hegel was into. And she's right about Freud. That's 100% correct. She keeps stressing Catholic girl was killed. So this is the thing this is what I would ask her about. That's all true what she's saying. The Vatican's in on it. Did you not know that? You're an adult convert to Catholicism.
Absolutely. If you think about all the little boys that come out with their stories, you know, what are they saying is happening? You know, what are these priests and popes, and what are they claiming they're doing to them? What kind of allegations are coming out from the Vatican and all of these churches? It's part of the ritual. This is deep, people, deep.
They are in on it. The New World Order of the Rose, that's Jesuits. They're all in on it. So Don't worry. It's not just them. And the Khazarian thing. So here's the actual story of that. Some Jewish guy was attempting to prove it's a religion, not a race. And that's where that comes from a guy well-intentioned trying to separate the religion from the race, not understanding the Zionists want it to be a race because they need it to be. So this is the part, like I said, I would ask her good questions, because when she came on, remember, she thought Soviets invented concentration camps, but no.
Listen, I'm conservative. If you go on X right now and you check out, if you go on YouTube, X, any social media, if you check out the news, who are all the conservatives backing right now? All the treacherous conservatives. Who are they backing right now? They are backing Israel, and on every single platform, the ones that are involved are posting, "We got to protect Israel." I don't know why Tucker Carlson's saying that about Israel. I don't know why Candice is speaking of it, and they're attacking them personally. The world is not filled with nice people, okay? It's not a bunch of friendlies running around, and this is about conquering shit. You understand? What was Epstein doing? Okay, he was luring in very powerful people with a lot of money here in America and elsewhere. Okay, he was pulling these people in. He was letting them perform their rituals and doing terrible shit to little kids, right? And then they were using that to blackmail these powerful people into doing whatever it is they wanted to do. Okay, so let's just say I wanted to control a certain aspect of a country. Maybe I needed, let's just say, a law firm, right? I'd have Epstein reach out to somebody that represents that law firm, let them know, and he built up a name for himself. They thought he was a billionaire, entrepreneur, whatever he was, whatever the fuck he was. He'd hit them up and say, hey, I'd like to meet up with you. And then he'd meet up with them, and then he would integrate his sick, twisted ways and let them know that he had access to either young women, young men, kids, whatever the case may be. It was kids, but yes, he'd tell them, hey, I got these young kids here, 13, 14, 12, 9, whatever the ages were. Go check the files, okay? And Epstein would use this information to blackmail these people that did terrible things to these kids. Some of these kids buried on the island, supposedly. It's a major cover-up because everybody on both sides of this political aisle here, okay? You see Trump's implemented in many of these files, right? And he's never, nothing stuck to him. Allegedly he's in the files a bunch of times. His name's not just there for no reason, so just use your brains. They still have 3 million files, and even if they release them 3 million files, you're not going to see what you should be seeing, because they'll never release that. You need to make them release it. You need to make them. They're hiding it because they don't want you to know who's running this country. They don't want you to know. This is some sick, twisted, sadistic, Satan-worshipping shit right here. They have you go to school. Yes, we need to be educated, but they have you go to school, and they brainwash you and contort you, and they have you believe in this two-party system, and they have you guys fighting back and forth, nonstop chaos. You're not united. You're not thinking straight. You're not paying attention to what's going on. You're not thinking about where your tax money's going, right? They tried to do an audit on the tax money. $40 trillion national debt. They tried to do an audit on it. They don't know where 20 trillion went. Open your fucking eyes. Think about what that means. They don't know where $20 trillion went. We could build gold cities. We could buy countries. 20 trillion. I mean, do I even have to say anymore? $20 trillion disappeared, people, and no one's asking questions. The new mayor of New York, he's in the Epstein files as a child, and he's with his mother, and now he is the mayor of New York. So, I mean, this is a coup that, like, these people have been doing this for over 100 years now. Do you understand? So everybody in politics is planted there. These people are planted there. You think you voted for them, and that's how they got in there. But, I'm not so sure about that. Okay? The Epstein files, having the mayor of New York as a little boy with his mother in them, in pictures with these people, show us that, and it's the same people that's in the Epstein ring, shows us that. And didn't Trump go against him, and wasn't Trump talking shit about him? And then he went and met Trump in the Oval Office, and he's like, he's going to do good things.
That was the British in South Africa. And I have seen her assimilate information once she learns it. But again, if you're Catholic, Bannon, same thing. He throws out specifically Catholic all the time. The Vatican's in on it. What are you guys talking about? Do you think the Vatican's not in on it? You're right. That's horrible. Your own thing is in on it. Do you not get it? I don't understand why they leave this out.
So let me.
All the ministries, all the churches here in America, they keep you in line. You go, they take your money. They're double dipping, triple dipping, quadruple dipping. Fucking, they're dipping like a motherfucker. Okay, you're like Dot's ice cream at Disney, and they just keep fucking scooping them out. All them little dots are part, like, all your money. They're just scooping it out. And where is that money going? Where is the fucking money going? $20 trillion they try and audit because our national debt's 40 trillion now. $20 trillion. Oh, we don't know where it went. Well, I'll tell you where it went. It went to this new world order. They're over here fucking throwing your money around the world for all these things that you don't even know about, so they can, have global world dominance. They're trying to take over everything, and they've probably succeeded in if I had to guess, they've probably succeeded in the countries that are allies to us. It seems like they are in different, how do I put this? They are in different, we're all on different timelines as far as this goes, but they are in different, their democracy is being stripped from them, okay? And we're all at different, each one of our countries is in different stages of losing our democracy. We're losing our freedoms, right? If you look at what's going on in the UK, they can't stand outside abortion clinics and protest. They can't, their freedom of speech has been taken from them. And then you think there's certain people that you think that, like, they're freedom fighters, and they planted them there to basically pacify the people as they're stripping your freedoms. These people aren't like people that just rose up to the occasion. They wouldn't allow that, right? These people have been planted there. This is the whole game is manipulation and molding and brainwashing, right? And you're all the cattle, all the sheep just being herded, the mindless corpses that they use to, just to push this agenda along. It's really Putin, his Russian oligarchs, the way they phrase it is, you're all useful idiots. You're useful idiots. Very useful when you don't know the lie, okay? But once the useful idiot figures out the lie, they become angry. They become bitter, is what the oligarch says, because they realize their whole life is a lie, and they're angry, and they don't understand how they've been manipulated and contorted into going along with this strange agenda. Something seems weird, doesn't it? It always seems weird. Why every year does everything get worse instead of better? Aren't we like the world's #1 superpower? Shouldn't we have better healthcare than this country? Shouldn't we have better this? Why are they taking so much taxes and nothing's getting done? Look at all the potholes in the street. Why are our kids getting stupider and stupider? Why are our kids not allowed to express their opinion in school without getting in trouble? Because this is how you control the population, folks. This is how you do it. This is how you run a country. This is how you infiltrate a country and snake it and run it from the inside out and use it. We are Israel's muscle. And that's why you'll see these politicians on both sides fighting for Israel instead of fighting for you. Because you don't matter. What matters is that their little dirty tapes with these little kids doesn't get out. That's what matters, okay? You don't matter. Those tapes matter, okay? Or, like I said, maybe they were born into it, and their grandpappy started this movement, or he was in it, handed down the the roles, maybe like Daddy rhymes with Bump, Daddy Bump, the guy that everybody supports, the guy that's named 36,000 times, or however many times, 3,600 or 5,000 times in a certain batch of files, the guy that's withholding 3-point-something million files with 37,000 dirty videos and 7,000 hours of dirty videos. Like, think about this, people. Come on, wake the fuck up. Wake up. It's getting quite pathetic. I know it's hard to believe that your life is a lie, and I know you'd like to think that your little safe environment with your 4 walls extending around your house and your rooms inside of them, that nothing bad can happen to you, and everybody's good and life is great, and you love Susan, your neighbor, and Jimmy over here. You guys play pool on Thursday or go bowling. Listen to me. That's all fine and dandy, right? But the fact that you're supporting agendas that you don't even know about because you've been fucking molded into it, and the fact that your children could have been way smarter, and the cure for cancer could have been released, and all of these things that they just, like the hospitals, why don't they cure these things? What's going on? Well, what's going on is they're not giving you the cure. We're way more advanced than you think, but they're not giving you the cure because all the scientists are in on this, all the historians are in on this, all the information you process is, everybody that has anything to do with the system is in on it, folks. This is the biggest fucking this. I'm pulling the blanket off of you, okay? Wake the fuck up.
Well, let me throw it back to you, Keaton. What do you make of that when you hear that? And it makes whoever seems to be in charge of Judaism, it seems like what she's saying, and correct me if you didn't hear it this way,
Muhammad, I believe,
that the whoever's in charge of Judaism is like a mystic, and they're doing that mystic Judaism, which isn't Judaism, and they're steering the conversation, and that's why I can get in all different religions, and they have this supremacist view, and that's how they talk about us behind closed doors. What do you say to that?
Well, Catholics take communion, so I don't really see the difference. I think this is all kind of overblown. I'm just kidding.
You're right.
No, I'm just joking. No, I mean, I like you, Jimmy. I had never heard any of that, so I had a kind of similar reaction.
But I knew Kurt did. I knew Kurt knew everything.
I blather to everybody I meet every time I meet him. Every time I meet him.
So go ahead, Keaton.
No, but I mean, the conclusion she draws at the end, I mean, I have no reason to doubt it, because whatever the backstory and, whatever parsing you want to do, when you talk about, has Judaism been hijacked by these, pagan mystics? I mean, that could all very well be true. I have no reason to doubt anything she's saying. I don't know enough to rebut that. I have no interest in rebutting that. I just have to plead ignorance on that. But however you want to parse it, it is undeniably true to anyone of fair mind that, yeah, the way they talk about the rest of the world is obviously extremely racist. They obviously do view non-Jews as cattle to be ruled over. I mean, that is an unmistakable conclusion. Yeah, I mean, it's just an unmistakable conclusion to draw. And so, I mean, however that gets parsed or negotiated within Judaism, is I won't say it's irrelevant, but its relevance is sort of secondary to the main point, which is that, yes, there is a cabal of Jews who, in this case, of course, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein was obviously a Zionist Jew, right? Who, yes, do view the world as theirs to dominate. And there's absolutely an attitude of entitlement and an attitude of supremacy. And I would say Jewish supremacy is really the tip of the spear. And then, they kind of drag, some like white supremacist, anti-Arab racists along with them to make their case for them. Like, you could look at a guy like Bill Maher. Bill Maher's not a Jewish supremacist. Bill Maher's an atheist, but he's clearly an anti-Arab racist who then sees Zionism as a vehicle for hegemonic Western expansion.
He likes black hookers, though. He's not totally racist.
Yeah, exactly. I say anti-Arab.
So, I mean, like I said, there's a group of oligarchs who came here, must have been 1800s, and have been spinning a web and, gaining more and more influence and power in our country over the years. And this is maybe a 150, 200-year thing. And here we are today, where we live in the world's #1 superpower, supposed to be the greatest country in the world, and this is what we get for it. This is what we get. So really, wake up, because these people, they're not nice people, and they don't give a fuck about us Americans. We're just cattle. We are just cattle, and we are here to push their agenda. And there's like, the media is so crazy. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. You just can't unsee it. And a lot of people have woken up, especially on X. In my opinion, they're being censored, and not in the aspect of actually being censored, but they're being restricted from spreading out and reaching the populace. So people who have woken up, we've been kind of clamped down on by Elon's moderators, and they're not really letting us get reach on our posts and videos and whatnot. And I can tell, I'm looking at the numbers, people that get millions of views, all of a sudden they're not getting these millions of views, right? And it's very, like, you don't get into a place of power, a position like that, like Elon Musk, without being a part of this. So he's on there and he's denying things and doing this and that, and you just don't get into a position of power, okay, with these other oligarchs running things. They don't place you in a position like that. They just don't place you in a position where you can actually give them pushback and fight against them. Okay, they're not going to relinquish any of their powers to others that are going to rise up and, to the occasion and be a freedom fighter or something like that. Like, if you got power, they got something on you. They got something on you, and it's so fucking bad that you better do what they say, or you better get out their way, or you better close up shop and be a no-name, because there's no way. And he just said on X that he's gonna promote Donald Trump's midterm election. He's gonna fund his campaign for the midterms and whatnot, and that's because they want to hold these Epstein files back as long as possible, and they're hoping that you people forget about them. The Epstein files is the key that really awakens the entire populace. It awakens all of the United States, and you unite at that point. There's no more Democrat. There's no more conservative. There's no more independent. There's no more race wars. It's not about brown people. It's not about white people. It's not about black people. It's not about none of that. The people unite at that point, and they can't have that. They can't have you awakening from this lie. I'm sorry to tell you that, you're living in a lie. So this is me telling you, you got to wake up, people. I'm not the smartest guy. I'm a fucking idiot. But I'll tell you, if I could figure it out, boy, I bet some smart people really good. You know what I mean? Go watch Candice's video, watch the whole video, get a better understanding of this. And like my video, leave a comment, tell me what your thoughts are, and give me some. I want you guys to come up with some productive things that we can do as a country, as a united country, to fight on this front and possibly dethrone these oligarchs like the Rothschilds. That's the main ones. They came from the UK, and I heard when they were in the UK, because they go back. When they were in the UK, I heard a little story that the Rothschilds, when the war was going on with Napoleon, I heard that before Napoleon came up the hill, or I'm sorry, when Napoleon lost the war, the Rothschilds went and spread around Europe, around the UK, that Napoleon had won the war when in fact he had not won the war, and they said he had won the war and he was on his way to, London or the UK or something like that. And stock prices and everything dropped down super, super low because everybody was panicking. And the Rothschilds went and bought up all the stocks and tricked the queen. And, they gained a lot of power, a lot of influence, a lot of money right there. And then everybody found out. And, I heard it was a big thing. But, that's just a little rumor. I'm not sure about that. Like I said, I don't really know too much about them. I just did a little research and that came up. But I can tell you they're definitely one of the families, and a couple others because Trump's brought them up. BlackRock, he's trying to give the Panama Canal, the shipping area, the docking area in the Panama Canal that 20,000 of our guys or 10,000 of our guys died building. Trump was trying to give that to BlackRock because these people are all in cahoots. It's not a liberal and conservative thing like you people think. You have been programmed to think that. I fell into that too. I was conservative. I'm looking at the liberals and I'm like, oh my God, they're doing this, they're doing that. At the end of the day, you guys are my neighbors. You're my neighbors. You people are the people that, all of you together, right, left, whatever, we're all out there in society working together, doing everything together. We might have differences on how we choose to enjoy our freedoms, but they're really minor compared to what's going on outside of that. And we need to align and unite. Fuck all that stupid shit. We need to unite and be a solid group of people all across the nation, and we need to fix our country. So wake the fuck up. Wake up.